Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Tuesday, December 24th, 2019. This is episode 345. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more episode, and if you're new, hopefully you enjoy this holiday-themed episode. Well, not really, but holiday apparel episode, and you'll come back in the future. To those of you who celebrate, Merry Christmas Eve, and to those of you who do not, happy Tuesday. I have an Ernest here who wants to wish you a very Merry Christmas as well. Their dad is going to see the new Star Wars movie, so we are home alone, and hey, there's a holiday movie for you. But we are home, just the three of us, and I had some McDonald's for dinner after coming home from work, because yes, we did work today. I put in a full day. Yeah, so I decided I didn't want to record on Sunday. We were traveling, and then yesterday we had some errands to run for the holidays, so I decided I knew I was going to be by myself on Christmas Eve, and I figured, why not spend it with you all? So thank you for allowing me to join you tonight, or whenever you're watching this. Yeah, so let's just get into a quick recap. I'm thinking this is going to be a shorter episode, but I do have things to show and things to talk about and things to give away and news to share. So the past 2 weeks, again, we've been kind of staying local. We did have a trunk show last weekend. The weekend before, we picked up our trunk show from Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, Illinois, which is my local yarn store. And then this past week, we left on Friday morning bright and early, and we drove down to Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb right outside of Kansas City. And we set up and had an opening night preview at the Studio Knitting and Needlepoint in Overland Park. And yeah, it was a really good time. Sue was our contact person there. They have a number of people that work at the store. And so we set up Friday afternoon, and then they had a meet and greet from 4:30 to 6:30, and they had champagne and snacks, and it was a good time, very busy. We were not expecting to have that many people there that evening, but it was a really good time. And then we had our regular trunk show hours from 10 to 5 on Saturday, and people were trickling in throughout the day, which was really, really nice to be able to meet new people, chit-chat with them, and of course, to a couple of you who came out and said that you watched the podcast, thank you so much for coming out and supporting us. We really, really appreciate that. So we ended up staying Saturday night because it was a full 6-hour drive for us, so we decided we might as well just tear down, go and have some dinner and relax and just drive in the morning. So we got up and we left fairly early on Sunday morning, and we drove home. We got home around 1 o'clock, but then I was exhausted and I took kind of a little nap in the car. Andy drove to and from Kansas. I didn't have to do any driving, but I wanted a nap. I was tired, so I took like a 2-hour nap Saturday afternoon, and then my sister Amanda, who used to be on the podcast with me and has too many other things going on in her life to, tag her down and record with me anymore. But she has moved into her own apartment, which I may have mentioned a couple of weeks ago. We helped her move, and she's been getting acclimated. She really didn't have any furniture, so she was sleeping on our air mattress. She has her own, but she said it was like a mat, and ours was much better, except that it leaks throughout the night, so she's was going a couple of weeks with 4 hours of sleep a night before she'd have to sleep on the floor. So she finally got a mattress last week. She ordered it and it showed up, a mattress, like a memory foam mattress. But she lives a half hour away now, so we needed to, she thought the mattress might fit in her car, which she has a very small Ford Fiesta. No. So we ended up having to take the van and drive it out to her last week before we left for Kansas City. Well, then when we left on Friday, her bed frame showed up. So when we got back on Sunday, we loaded that into the van, and then I drove with Andy out there on Sunday afternoon to drop that off to her. So there was that. And then last night, we had to drive to Bloomington, which is a half hour north of us, we went out to dinner, but then we also had to ship off a trunk show to A Piece of You in Michigan. That's going to be there for the next 2 weeks. So we wanted to make sure it went out before the holidays and there were no issues, so we drove it to a FedEx facility rather than have them pick it up. But then we also treated ourselves to a nice Italian dinner, and we went to Meijer to get some things for Christmas morning tomorrow, as well as a few, things we needed. And we didn't get back till, 8:30, and then I kind of just chilled for a half hour and I went to bed because, I'm an old person and I go to bed at 9. I've been going to bed at 9 for years, though, so I don't know if I can blame it on that. Anyway, so that's been my last 2 weeks. Looked at the calendar. While we have shipped trunk shows going out, we are not leaving our home for 4 weeks. I am super excited about that. I wish we were leaving to go on vacation. We are both dying to go back to Cancun, but we need to be financially responsible, and we do not live on credit. That is one thing, we fully got ourselves out of credit before we went full-time with the business, and so we, any credit we use, we pay off immediately, and a vacation would not do that for us right now. We don't have it in the funds right yet, but we're working our way towards it, hopefully soon. So we are going to be just working around the house, working at the studio, and relaxing for the next 4 weeks, which is great because it's, the coldest time of the year. And though let me tell you, it is going to be 60 degrees here tomorrow on Christmas. It snowed all day on Halloween. We then went down into the negatives in November, and now we're at highs of 59 on Christmas Day. I'll take it, especially since I'm only going to my mom's apartment in the morning, and then we just lounge around the house in our PJs, and I'll be lounging in this tomorrow with my PJ pants. Anyway, let's get to the knitting, shall we? I do have a finished object. So I told you last week, you saw I finished a hat for my nephew, and then this past 2 weeks, I finished and blocked and attached a pom-pom to my niece's hat. So I ended up knitting the Magnolia Hat by Maria Socha, and I used some Cascade 220 Superwash in I believe it's called the Brambleberry colorway, and I used a size 7 and 8 US, which is a 4.5 and a 5 millimeter needle, and here it is. So I actually had to unwrap this, though. So Andy always does the wrapping. I don't wrap because when we put everything in boxes and bags, and when we do have to wrap things, I don't do a good job. Needless to say, we said we weren't going to be doing gifts this year for really anybody, and there was more than we thought we needed to do, so he had to wrap some stuff this morning. Anyway, he threw this in a gift box and taped it shut, with not even tissue paper or anything. But I had to open it to get the hat out. I was like, I gotta show that. So you can see here it has some increasing and decreasing pattern here. It's not a cable. Very little bit of a lace detail. And I did the size small. And then this is a pom-pom. It is a snap pom-pom where you actually sew the base of the snap to the top of the hat. Now I'm trying to get it off. I knew that her mom would not want to have to deal with either, tying or untying of a pom-pom to wash it. So you actually I just used some embroidery thread actually from my cross stitch kit. And I sewed the snap to the top of the hat. And I did try to put the snap on the inside, and the yarn is too thick for it to actually snap. I tried to just practice, but that just snaps on. You floof out the pom-pom, and there you go. So I picked up the pom-pom at my local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery. This is one of the fake fur, raccoon fur, I believe is what this one is. And yeah, so I think she's going to like it. I think she'll like the little bit of flair and the little bit of bling. that the pom-pom brings to it. And I like that it's a little bit lighter than the color. So I did actually end up using just under half a skein, so I could knit another small, but I put the yarn to the side to just do a charity hat at some point. So that's my finished object. I was close to another one, but I really didn't have the time to do the finishing work, which is my Plaid Please. So we're moving into what's performing. What am I still working on? And the first project is Plaid Please by Amy Miller. This uses 3 colors of Rowan Kid Silk Haze in Cream, Trance, and Candy Girl. And it uses a size 6 US 4mm needle. And I finished all the knitting. So I finished this on the road Sunday morning, driving back from Kansas. And so here it is in all of its glory. And it sheds like the dickens. You can see how wide it is. I did screw up the second stripe, so then I mirrored it with the second to last stripe. And what I need to do now is you do 4 parallel or vertical stripes up the wrap, and you do that using a crochet hook and going in each stitch. And I need to eventually work on that when I have some time to sit down and practice and wrap my mind around it. And then it just comes to blocking, and then it will probably get a finished object photo and then sit in a closet until I find a place for it. It'll probably either be donated to the Super Summer Knit Together charity raffle drawing or for the Knitting at the State charity raffle drawing. Next up, I'm working on Riverine by Teresa Gaffey. I'm using 3 bases of Shibui in their Pebble, Silk Cloud, and Sema bases in the color 2002, which is graphite. And these wraps are so light and thin that I am just kind of throwing them. I scrunch them up when I put them in my project bag is what I'm trying to say. I'm just not doing a great job of it. All right, let's show you the right side. So it starts off here, and then we go over to here. So the stockinette in the first portion, that's the that's the pebble. All the garter ridges are in the Sema, and then the see-through portion here is the silk cloud. And it's all stockinette and garter knit on the bias using size 5 US, which is a 3.75mm needle. Hopefully I will have that done next time, but we'll see. No promises. And I continued to work on my Adventuring wrap by Amba O'Brien. I'm using the 2019 It's Not an Advent set from Leading Men Fiber Arts. And I did put in a progress keeper to show where I was so I wouldn't go over all the colors since last time and just talk about the colors that are new. So it's all garter with some eyelet knit on the bias, a very slow progressing bias, but it's knit lengthwise. So there are a lot of stitches on this needle, but I did throw in a progress keeper that was gifted to me by Sam of Lavender Loon while we were at the Zombie Knitpocalypse. So I left off with Black Walnut, and then I've joined in Harvest, Copper Cloud, Rusted, and I'm working on Primordial right now. So I'll move that little taco up on the shawl. I thought it was so funny. So Andy was listening to football for much of the way home. That's why he wanted to drive. And I thought it was so funny because we were talking about something and I brought up tacos. And I said tacos for tackles. I don't know. I thought it was quite hilarious. He did not think so, but you know. Anyway, so those are my knitting works in progress. I do want to show you my granny square blanket because I finished a row shortly after recording last episode. I had one more square I believe that I needed to do, and now I'm almost halfway done with the next row. So, you know, I am still in love with this thing. So as always, I'm going to have to stand up to show you where I'm at. So this top row here are new squares. The blue, I think this might be stress knits. I think this is black cat fibers. I want to say this is leading men. I don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. This is some opal sock yarn. Don't know who that is. And I want to say that's some more stress knits. I picked up a couple of her minis at the Super Summer Knit Together Market this last year. Do you like my sweater? This was my Christmas sweater last year, but I'm reusing it. It does sing and make sheep noises, but I won't make you endure that. So here we are. There's the bottom. So if I put the bottom on the floor, it comes to here right now. I am at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm working on the 12th row of 20. So I think 20 rows will actually be perfect size. And I have 15 squares across. So it'll easily fit Andy and myself if I want, or I can fully enrapture myself in it. I am using fingering and sport weight to crochet that, and I'm using a size C hook. I'm doing a 5-round granny square, and then I'm joining as I go with the white, which is undyed our soliloquy base, which is 100% superwash Blueface Leicester. So I need to actually wind up a new one because I am almost done with that. I'm almost done with the second ball of the border colors, and those are 657 yard balls or skeins. So I shouldn't see myself using more than 3, depending on what type of border I do. So, all right. So what's in rehearsal? What am I going to cast on? I did ball up. I have not cast on yet. I was planning on doing it tonight as a Christmas Eve cast on. I have been itching to get some socks on the needles, and while I have plans for upcoming things coming up, I was like, you know what? I need to get some socks on the needles because I don't have enough socks. Andy doesn't have enough socks, and nobody in our family is getting hand knit socks for Christmas this year because I did not bring my sock game this year. So I used my random number generator on my stash because, you know, I type A personality. And so I had to pull a couple of times before I picked some self-striping yarn, but this I picked up at the Super Summer Knit Together Market years ago, probably the first year I think we vended there. So that was the 3rd year and they're going into the 9th. So 6 years ago, maybe 2013. This is from Knitter's Nightmare, who is no longer dying, unfortunately. She had a kid, and then she moved from Washington back to Canada. And this was on her Batty sock, which is an 80-20 superwash merino nylon, 400 yards, in the Mules colorway, which is an Army reference. It is a 3-stripe, so it looks like it has brown and 2 different shades of green. I think Andy was drawn to this, but I get the next pair of socks because he got the last one. So anyway, we have the same size foot, so I'll decide once it's knit up. But I do have a skein here of some Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper and Sandcastle and it seems to be a light batch of Sandcastle, but I've had this for a while. I use this for heels and toes. It's a great neutral to go with things, so I thought it would go well with these. So I'm going to cast on those tonight once this is uploading. That's living in my Whimsy Stitches bag that was part of our year in review kit that mini skein kit that came out in January this year. And we will have our 2019 kit coming out January 1st this year, but I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And they do feature Rick's bags again, the clear, same style, different fabric. So you can see inside, which I really like. All right, behind the scenes, spinning. I did finish a skein of handspun. This is some Into the World Romney in the Passamaha colorway. I got 328 yards of a 2-ply fingering weight. I'm not great at skeinin things, so don't mind that. This has not been washed or thwacked yet. It will go to the studio to get that done here this weekend when we return back to the studio, and then it will be up in the shop shortly after that. But it has beautiful reds, maroons, a little bit of cream, some slate blue gray, and a little bit of like a copper rust color. So there's that. Joy to spin. I then used, again, random number to select out of my fiber stash what I was going to spin next, and it picked for me some Yarn Geek Fibers Corriedale in the Winter Pinoque colorway, which looks like this. This is the second 2 ounces. I am going to 2-ply fractal spin that as well, so I've just started the first 2 ounces. I just started spinning that, so that's going. All right, let's move into In the Scene Shop, my other crafts. I still have not warped my loom. It'll come at some point, but I'm just enjoying doing other crafts right now. I am so close to a page finish on my cross stitch. So I am working on a Heaven and Earth Designs called One for Sorrow. And I didn't pull out the picture, but it's a blackbird. And I am using 25 count easy count, doing 2 over 1 half stitch, which is 10 stitch. And as you can see here, when I finish this block, this will be the first full page of the chart. So but as on anything with cross stitch, it looks so much better from farther away. Excuse me. So, been working on that here and there. Let's move into In the Spotlight. What have I been watching and reading? The Masked Singer came to a close, and while I did not know who was in third or first place, I definitely knew who was in second. If you have not finished catching up with the finale of The Masked Singer and you don't want to be surprised, good luck. But to fast forward about 10 seconds. Totally knew, though. Are you gone? Okay. Totally knew that the Rottweiler was Chris Daughtry. You cannot mistake that voice. I mean, especially towards his last few songs. So, and I'm not a huge Daughtry fan, but I knew that. So I felt validated that I knew at least one of them. We finished watching Castle Rock. While I felt like a lot was just left at the end, the way they did wrap it up, I feel, was interesting, and it kind of brought everything, one of the storylines to a full circle. However, I feel like there was a lot that they brought in that they just left open-ended, which they did in season 1 too. So we're continuing to watch Watchmen. We're also started watching Schitt's Creek, which is hilariously funny. It is our dinner time watching because they are short episodes and they're comedies, and that's what we like to watch while we have dinner in the dining room. I am watching on Netflix V Wars, which is a vampire rebellion show. It's not great. The writing's horrible. The acting is subpar, but I'm still watching it. So I don't recommend it, but if you need something to watch and you like vampires, then maybe. I'm also watching on Hulu Prodigal Son. That comes out, I believe, on Fox. What really drew me to watch it is one of our friends, really Andy's friend, who was his former roommate, used to live in LA and did a bunch of extra work and moved to New York, which is where this is filmed. And he's still doing some extra work. And he actually is the body double for the doctor, the serial killer. So I see him on Instagram all the time dressed as the doctor, the surgeon, and doing body double work for him. So I was like, hey, I'll check it out. And again, writing is not great. It's very formulaic in the writing and the storytelling, but it's interesting. I finished listening to a book. I listened to Reason to Believe by Diana Copland. I went to Audible this last time and I wanted to find something with a male romance. And I was looking at paranormal because I kind of like ghosts, paranormal, vampires, those type of things. And I also really like cop dramas, serial killer cop dramas. So this has all of that. So I'm going to read you the synopsis off of Goodreads, and I will tell you that I gave it, what did I give? I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was pretty good. And it is the start of a series. We'll see if I come back to it. But it goes a little like this. Detective Matthew Bennett doesn't believe in ghosts, so when the spirit of a murdered child leads him to her body, he's shaken to the core and taken off the case. Unable to explain his vision or to let go of the investigation, Matthew turns to renowned medium Kiernan Fitzpatrick. Though he has doubts about Kiernan's claims to communicate with the dead, Matt is nevertheless drawn to the handsome psychic who awakens feelings he thought were long buried. Haunted by the lingering spirit of the little girl, Kiernan is compelled to aid in the search for her killer. The chance to get closer to the enigmatic Matt is an unexpected bonus. Although Kiernan's been betrayed by people who turned out to be more interested in his fame than in himself, with Matt he's willing to risk his heart. As the two men grow closer, Kiernan helps Matt rediscover that life offers no guarantees, but love offers a reason to believe. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I really would like to come across this type of genre. I hate to say it, from a male author. There was nothing wrong here with this book. However, I do feel that when writing some of the love scenes, some of the way that gay men think, I think that sometimes women have a hard time grasping that, just because they're not, they don't have those, they're not thinking those things. So there were sometimes like during lovemaking scenes and stuff like that, I'm like, really? Would they think that? Would they say that? Really? Oh, okay. All right. But to each their own. We're all different, right? Just because the way that I think of things is not the way that they do. I'm not going to really dock them on their star rating because of that. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling. Again, 4 stars. I thought the narrator did a pretty good job. All right, so moving on, let's talk about stash enhancement. So I have 3 new vendors to show you products from that I have purchased over the last couple of months. The first 2 came from the Kate Retreat, Knitting at the Estate. One I traded for. Somebody was going to put these in the Free to a Good Home, the free table, and I was like, I want this. I will trade you for this because I know how much these cost and what you could get for them. I then got somebody's door prize. They saw that the way I reacted to the color when I picked it out of the prize box, and they thought that I would enjoy it, so they gifted it to me. And then the last one is a purchase that I made from one of our sponsors for the Knitting at the Estate Retreat. So first up is 2 sock blanks that I plan on knitting myself and Andy some socks. And I'm not going to apologize for the crinkle because it's well worth it. You can no longer get these. You could barely get these when they were in production. And these are 2 Andre Sue Knits sock blanks. I never tried to grab my hand at these because I am not an update creeper, stalker, F5er. I will not, stalk updates to try to get things. And then 2, I was like, I do sock blanks, and while these are prettily painted, I don't know if I would immediately jump on them and pay the money. But this first one is for Andy, and this is a little French Bulldog, and Andy loves French Bulldogs. He had a Boston Terrier, while not the same thing. He loved Gertie, and so did I, and when she passed, we were very sad, but he always wanted to get a French Bulldog after that. However, they are super expensive, and we believe in not paying super amounts of money for a dog when we can, give any dog a good home. So, but super cute, and it's blue, which Andy loves. And then I love foxes, and these are green with foxes. This is the second one. There was a third one, which was purple with sparkle and reindeer, and I gave that to Amanda for when she comes back to knitting. She can experience an Andre Sue Knits sock blank. So, yeah, these will eventually be made into socks. When? I don't know. We'll see when the random number generator picks them. The next vendor is Black Cat Fibers, who are wonderful, amazing women, and we hosted them in our home a couple of weeks ago. They came down for the Les Moutons Rouges Knitteries Hand-Dyed Holiday. Anna and Antoinette out of Milwaukee, and this is a beautifully rich, deep red, overwashed in black, called Red Rum, and it is on their Nomad sock, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And yeah, I just was like, ooh, look at that color and that depth. And so the person who won this as a door prize snuck this into my hand and said, you will give this a good home, and I greatly appreciate it. So that's that. Those are 2 Yarny goodness. And then the third vendor was a gracious sponsor to the retreat, and that is By the Bay Yarn Company, who does wonderful canvas drawstring bags, as well as, I'm sure, other things. But this was the design that I went with. It is covered in mohair because it is housing my Plaid Please, but this was sewn to order, so it took about 2 weeks to get to me. She has, I believe, 21 different colors of canvas and a couple different styles of bags. So this is a 2-handle bag. So there are handles on both sides, and it is a maroon canvas, and it's got a beautiful rope drawstring, and it's got 2 smaller pockets on the outside. There are 2 smaller pockets on the inside as well. And yeah, I threw, you can see the flat bottom there, nice big base. I threw that project in there once I got this, and it's been living in there ever since. And yeah, I really like it. I think it's not too feminine, and it's worked really well for me. So that is By the Bay Yarn Company. And I will have them linked in the show notes. I'll have all the vendors linked. So those are the 3 featured vendors for this episode. All right, as you know, I like to do a giveaway every episode, and this episode is no exception. This episode, I'm going to give away a stunning string studio accessory pouch. This was actually given to me as a kind of thank you door prize from Christy Glass Knits at Rhinebeck for participating in her Rhinebeck sweater video. And while I would love to take the mini skeins out of there, I didn't really need anything else. But I thought it was so well packaged all together that I decided to keep it all together. So you get this little clear pencil pouch. And then in this particular one, there's 2 mini skeins. You get a set of progress keepers and stitch markers in daisies. That's the Flower Power set. And then inside here, there's a shawl pen and a pen and some information about stunning strings. So I thought that would go to a good home. So in order to be eligible to win this, you must be a member of the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry. Head on over to the appropriate thread, which will be posted when I post the video. And one entry per person, please. And I will make sure that is the case. I have been faulty in that, and people have been posting multiple times. So I want to make sure that I keep true to that. And this prompt for this episode is, how much do you plan and prepare for the future? So I figured this was appropriate because the next time I record, it will be 2020. And I know a lot of people do New Year's resolutions. Andy and I, while we were at dinner, I asked him that. I asked him, what were some goals he had for the business, for us as a couple, and for him as himself for 2020. And, he then asked me that. And well, some of those are personal. I'm not going to share. But, I think I'm not one to set New Year's resolutions per se, but sometimes it's good to reflect and to prepare. Things in my business life and professional life, I'm usually fairly well prepared. So there's that. All right, let's move on into Inside the Knitter's Studio. So I told you last episode that we did not have any new questions in our Q&A thread on Ravelry, and so I didn't have any questions to answer. But a couple of you jumped on there and asked a question. Again, that thread is open. It is the Q&A thread, the question and answer thread on our Ravelry group. If you go on over there, post a question, I'll answer it in its time on the podcast. So Miss Bossy Pants asked, I have been waiting for some time for a certain colorway to appear, or at the very least be included in the discussion of whether there will or will not be a aforementioned colorway in the offering. I speak of none other than the Watermelon Fireworks Bus Emporium colorway. I was so tickled by that entire story that I can't help but chuckle every time I think of it, which is quite often, following the smashed watermelons on the streets as the bus takes the corners and the occasional casualty is left to, so you eventually catch up in time to make your purchases. Fireworks in the front, melons in the back. Really, how can this story not be commemorated in a colorway? So what Miss Bossy Pants is referring to is when Callie, my former co-host, before my sister, one of the last episodes she was on, if not the last episode she was on, she talked about, if you remember Callie, if you watched, she was a master storyteller, and she talked about this watermelon fireworks bus that just brought tears to everybody's eyes, and I was like, this needs to be a colorway, and an enamel pin, and this and that. I am not going to force that colorway. If it ever happens, it is going to happen, and it will scream Watermelon Firework Bus Emporium. There is too much pressure for me to try to make that colorway happen, that it has to happen, and it has to scream to me that that's what it needs to be. Also, not that there was ever going to probably be the chance that Callie will independently dye yarn, but I'm going to leave that for her. If she ever wants to start dyeing yarn, that can be her big claim to fame colorway, if she ever so chooses. So if I don't nab it before she does, she's definitely can lay claim to that. But thank you, Miss Bossy Pants, for asking your question, and hopefully you're not too disappointed with the answer. Alrighty. We need to give away some yarn from last episode. Okay. Sorry, I promised that I would double check to make sure people were not posting twice and the winners were not posting twice. And I forgot to do that. So I was double checking who the winner is and to make sure that they didn't post twice. And they didn't. So last episode, we were giving away a sock set from Stitch Naughty. And that is Cindy out of Texas, who generously donated this. And this is the Vivacious sock set in the Buddy colorway. Comes with 438 yards of the main color Buddy, and then a 20 gram mini. And it's her sparkle base. And I asked, what's another holiday movie that you would like to see another sock set turned into? Random number generator selected, number 43, who is Cheryl730, and that's Cheryl from Ohio. Congratulations, which is funny because Cindy used to live in Ohio before she moved to Texas. So it's kind of like it's going back home. And Cheryl said The Grinch. She'd love to see The Grinch. So I think that's a great one. I think that was on there quite a few times. So congratulations, Cheryl. If you would, please private message me on Ravelry with your first and last name, mailing address, and email address. I'll get this out to you as soon as I can. We have some reminders of previous prize winners who have not claimed their prize. So first up is the previous episode's winner for the Stitch Naughty 2 skein set. And the winner of that was number 68, who is Stamped to Knit, and that is Lori from Wisconsin. Lori, you have until I record next episode, so that's another 2 weeks, a little under, to email me Dramatic Knits on Ravelry, first and last name, mailing address, and email address to lay claim to your prize, or I will redraw for another winner if I don't hear from you by the next time I record, okay? So again, that was Lori from Wisconsin, Stamped to Knit, number 68, won this last episode. Also, we redrew last episode for 4 skeins of Rowan Kid Silk Haze because the first winner did not contact me in 2 episodes. I redrew on air for number 11, Carlene Page. That's Carlene from Virginia. Carlene, please contact me by next episode. If not, this will go back into the prize pool for eventual prize drawings because I cannot keep drawing winners in the hopes that somebody will take this off my hands. I'll just wait and we'll do another prize later on. So, Carlene, you still have little less than 2 weeks to get in contact with me. Dramatic Knits on Ravelry. First, last name, mailing address, and email address, please. I want to remind you to enter everything you finish this month, December 2019, into the Race to the Finished Object contest. We will have a wonderful prize from our prize bin, as well as a pattern from our featured designer, who is Jessica Brist of Snickerdoodle Knits. And don't worry if you're seeing this after the new year. January's thread will be open on January 1st. And we will have new prizes for whatever you finish in the month of January. Speaking of Snickerdoodle Knits, we have our Snickerdoodle Knits knit-along going on. That runs from November 1st through January 31st. You can knit any of Jessica's patterns as many times as you would like. Each finished object gets you an entry into the drawing, and each month I will pull from the FOs to do a drawing. So last month, Brittany won, and she is still the only one who's entered. So if we don't get any new projects in December, then I won't pull for a winner. But if we have no new entries at the end of the drawing, Brittany will automatically win another prize because she'll win the final knit-along prize. So I encourage you to head on over and join in that. I think that's pretty much it for regularly scheduled stuff. Let's move into center stage. What's going on in the world of Leading Men Fiber Arts? Our new website has launched, and you can find almost everything is up there now. I'm still working on 2 more yarn bases as well as a bunch of patterns and accessories, but you can find everything at leadingmenfiberarts.com. So much more inventory than we've ever housed there before. We are bringing a lot of other things into the shop, more tools and accessories. You can also purchase our printed patterns that we usually take to shows. While it's probably not financially responsible to purchase a pattern by itself with shipping, it is easy to tack it onto an order, and it would not actually cost you that much because our new website does shipping by weight. So I highly encourage you to check out patterns. We got a whole new stack of new patterns that I plan on having samples knit up in, or I have new samples coming to me in. So those are up on the website. I need to get my other patterns up there. Some other new things coming up in the shop I'm slowly working on. We are adding pom-poms to the shop. So these are, we'll have a variety of colors. I purchased 3 different sets. This first one was 16 different colors, and then I think there's 8, and then 8. So we may have like 32 different colors and 48 pom-poms in the shop. Right now I only have like 8 in there right now. This is a what one looks like and how it is presented. It's on one of our business cards. I do only want to do the snap pom-pom, so I'm looking for those when I'm doing them. This size is just under 4 inches in diameter. They do look much better with a hairdryer, which I do have photo tutorial on the listing on the website, and a size tutorial. They are snap, so you can sew that piece on and snap it on, and they go for $5. So I tried to be really reasonable. A lot of them are going for $6, $10, $12, $13. Now these are not huge. To give you an idea, I paid maybe $10 at my local yarn store for that one. This one is a little bit smaller, but I feel like these ones aren't going to totally weigh down your hat, as well as, you know, if you want a multitude of them, they're cheaper, and I am going to bring in some larger ones, I believe about this size I was looking at eventually, but we'll see how these ones go. This one is the Taro Purple colorway. And yeah, we have a bunch of them in the shop already. I'll be adding more as time allows, but I will not be back in the studio until probably Saturday afternoon, if not Sunday this week. So let's talk about January's colorway. I did bring it to show you. We just decided, I did a couple of test dyes, and we decided I took this color combo and I did it as a massage speckle, I did it as a layer, and I did it as a semi-solid, and we decided to go with a semi-solid this month. So it is a purple. We have not yet named it, and that is going to be January's colorway for January 2020. So stay tuned for that. I need to knit up a swatch. That's why it's balled up. And it will get its name soon, and it will be premiering on January 1st, along with our year in review sets. We will have full skein sets as well as mini skein sets. The mini skein sets come in a clear pouch, just like this one. Again, new fabrics this year, but it comes in a bag by Rick of Whimsy Stitches, and then it'll have 12 mini skeins, and then it will also have a coupon code for a pattern specifically designed. Excuse me, this is why I should not drink soda on the podcast. Anyway, Sarah Abram of Sarah Bear Crafts, make sure I say that not too quickly. It's not craps, sorry Sarah. It is Sarah Bear Crafts. She asked if she could design a pattern specifically for the Year in Review mini skein set, and she delivered. So there's a beautiful shawl that is designed to use all 12 mini skeins, and she did a wonderful job of arranging them into the most beautiful color palette, because we do not go in with a whole theme or idea or color scheme when we start. Every month we just let inspiration take us where we want to go, and she did a beautiful job. So you will get a coupon code courtesy of Sarah to download the shawl if you want something to make with the 12 mini skeins. And yeah, that'll be the set. Those will go for $100, and it is going to be released on January 1st at 10 a.m. And if you add everything up, it is well below market value for what you're getting. So there's that. All right. Oh, and there'll be 100 of those available in the shop. So they do go pretty quickly. So I would say if you're hemming and hawing about it, don't wait too long, because we do sell out every year. So, or we have in the past. Let's talk about That's My Jam. So I didn't bring it with me, and I didn't bring a printed pattern, but I do have official printed patterns of That's My Jam, which is the wrap design that I've been working on for almost a full 9 months now. It has been released, and it was pretty well received on Ravelry. If you are part of our newsletter, I did send out a coupon code to our newsletter subscribers to get $1 off. So I highly encourage you to sign up for the Leading Men Fiber Arts newsletter, which you can do just by visiting leadingmenfiberarts.com. There should be a pop-up that pops up where you can sign up for the newsletter there. Or you can also do it on our Leading Men Fiber Arts Facebook group. I have kits available in the shop, and yeah, I'm super excited. So I can't wait to see more That's My Jams being knit and popping up on Ravelry. And you can purchase it on Ravelry if you're so inclined, or at least queue it. I would greatly appreciate it. So thank you. All right, I think that is pretty much it. So I am going to let you go and say farewell to 2019 with you. I hope if you celebrate, you have the merriest of Christmases and the happiest of New Years. If you celebrate another holiday or don't celebrate anything, I hope you have a wonderful close to the year and that you make the best of what little time we have left in this decade. And as we roll into 2020, I hope that your new decade is yarny filled and fiber filled and crafting filled, and that you have amazing, wonderful aspirations and intentions going into the 2020s. And until I see you in 2 weeks, I hope you knit something dramatic.